I'm with Coach Jason Shields, Coosa girls head coach. Coach, as you get ready to start the season, what are some of the goals you have set for your team?
Well, first of all, we've got three things that we've been working on the last 3 years. We've been working on commitment, competitiveness, and then this year's consistency. So it's been a day-by-day process. We're not looking at focusing. Now, don't get me wrong, I like to win. I actually hate losing more than I like winning, but we're trying to win the battle every day. And the first year, it was just basically making sure everybody showed up to practice every day, and we don't worry about that anymore. So the commitment level has changed greatly over the last 2 years. The competitiveness, we do it every day. If we're playing checkers, and they're playing with me, we're trying to teach them, hey, it's important to win. It's not everything to win, but it's important to do the things it takes to win, and then being consistent every day. And they all work hand in hand. So that really, it's not anything about what our goal is as far as winning games or being in this. We want to go as far. My goal every year as a basketball coach is playing when nobody else is playing, and that takes getting those games in the postseason. So that's always a goal. But we're just trying to win the daily battle of teaching them how to be a winner. And those three things is what we've been working on.
Awesome. Can you identify some of the leaders on your team? Who'd you lose last year? Who's stepping into those roles?
We lost a big one. We lost Abby Jacobs. She was a leader for us. But Brooke McClellan, which is a junior, she's going to be really a 4 or 5 for us. She's a shooter, handles the ball pretty decently for us. Claire Gilreath, which is a senior, she is going to be playing more of she's been playing a guard for the last 2 years, but she's going to move inside for us and play a 4 or 5 for us. And she's done a great job of adjusting to that role, and she's extremely physical, so she helps us around the goal, getting offensive rebounds and, of course, defensive rebounds. And then Ryan Manley, which is going to be a point guard. She's also a senior. She's our point guard this time, and she's stepping in for Abby, who left as our point guard. So she's got big shoes to fill as far as making sure we're getting our offense. And then Haley Carpenter is our last senior. She's improved a ton since the first year I was here, and she's also a 5. So probably going to start Haley at the 5 and Claire at the 4, but those two will be rotating. We're pretty much a 4 out, 1 in type offense. So one of them will be in the game all the time at the post player. So Haley's done a great job of becoming more of a competitor every day at practice, and she's improved greatly. So looking for good things out of her too. And I can't forget McKenna. McKenna's a shooter. She had a big night against Dade County last year in the tournament and had like 7 threes. So McKenna's going to have to get hot several times for us to have a chance in most of those games too.
Now, you talked about those leaders. Tell me about style of play. What brand of basketball can we expect?
Well, I've always been the clocks hurt me a little bit because I've always learned to win with if I didn't have good as athletes, somebody else, I could take possessions away from them. Well, that shot clock has sort of changed that. So, but we're going to squeeze that shot clock every time. We're not going to shoot with a lot of time on that shot clock, left on that shot clock, unless we got a really good shot. So I think shot selection is more important than time. You want to talk about, we want to get a good shot every time. If you're not going to get many shots, you better make the ones you take. So I'm more of a slow down type, but I've got a little junior high team that's coming. We're going to be a lot faster pace with them, So like I said, it's just in high school basketball, you may have a system, but you learn to develop your system around what you got from year to year out. So like I said, that's what we do.
That makes a lot of sense. Talk about some of the bigger games on the schedule, how non-region, the season's really broken down into 3 parts. You've got non-region play, tournament play, and then you've got your region schedule and hopefully the playoffs and postseason after that. So talk about some of the big obstacles and challenges.
Well, I mean, the big challenge is we got a pretty tough region. I said you got Trine, who's got a little guard back. It's really good. You got Darlington lost a good bit, but they'll be competitive again. But you got Armurchie, who's always solid. We've got Dade County, who just hired a new coach that coached at Chattanooga. So we're going to have a top 4 in our region. Is pretty dang tough. So that's our goal, is getting that top 4. And then off season, the off schedule as far as that goes, we go to Hiawassee, which is a pretty tough tournament. Towns County Battle of the States. It's got teams from North Carolina and Tennessee and us and Alabama. So that gives us a pretty good contest. Plus, it lets us have something like a camp. We go off to get team bond in the middle of the season, which is big. I think we're one big family, and to be able to be a family, you got to be able to be around each other enough to know when the bad comes, it ain't going to stay, but you got to take it. So I'm pretty aggressive when it comes to getting on folks sometimes. So it gives us a chance to get to know each other. So it don't look like I'm just getting on them as a person. I'm getting on them as a player. And that stops there. So like I said, they've done a good job of that. Because like I said, I'm not the sweetest, kindest guy in the world, but they've gotten where they understand that, hey, it's just the basketball part of it, and the relationship is a lot more important than what happens on the floor.
Now, locally, you've got the Christmas tournament, which is something that's been, 69, 70 years almost. So talk to me about what that tournament means to you as a coach, what it means to these kids as a player.
Well, for them as a player, it probably means, I'm from Alabama, so I haven't been involved in it in the last 2 years. I've been involved in it, and we haven't been as competitive as we'd like to be in it. So I'm sure it'll be better for us when we're more competitive, and I think that's coming. But like I said, it's a great tournament. We had county tournaments when I was in Cherokee County in Alabama, and I was in Etowah County in Alabama. It was a big county tournament. That's really what that is. They invite some people out, but anytime you do that and pride factor comes in, that's always a good tournament. So I like it at the sense of that, but I want to be more competitive in it. It's not good for you if you're going in there getting 2 games going home. I won't be playing on those last 2 nights, but that may be a while before we're able to do that. But that's our goal in that. But that is a great tournament.
And then my final question for you is, what's your favorite thing about coaching these players? And talk to me a little bit about the Coosa community and what it's meant to you to be a part of this program.
Oh, well, the biggest thing is I see everybody wants to be successful, from Mr. Cox to the athletic director to Miss Martin and Crawley. Now we got another assistant principal, but Coach Shiflett. We're all on the same page as far as trying to get this thing flipped around in every sport. So I think that's exciting. I was a part of some success in Alabama, but one of the things I've always wanted to do is take something that wasn't where it needed to be and see if it really works. So we're in the process of doing that. You get tested right now as a coach. Do you really believe what you believe when it's not going the way you want it to go? You know what I'm talking about? And I do. I believe that. I believe if we keep doing what we're doing, we're eventually going to flip this thing. So that's my goal, and the community is in great support of it. And I tell the girls all the time, you got to be worth watching. When you get to worth watching, they'll come. So we're slowly getting there, and I think the short-term successes that we're having in some areas are going to draw. We do a calendar fundraiser, and it helps us financially, yes. But I tell them that 30 people that you're trying to get you to support you on those days are more important to me that there are 30 people that's in your inner circle and going to be at your games. I said, that's great that they're giving you money, but we want them to be there. So we're trying to create that base by doing stuff like that, So like I said, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be one of the things that, that it don't look good at times for me as a coach that's been around some success. But I always try to tell them, I see 4 years down the road, I'm not seeing what's happening today, So I'm trying to get them to see that. That's hard sometimes, and I'm trying to get the community to see that. But the community's been great. Like I said, from the top down, it's really been something where we're all on the same page trying to get the same thing going.
All right, I'm here with Coosa basketball head coach for the boys, Tommy Lewis. Tommy, as you get ready for this season, what are some of the goals you have set for your team?
Well, obviously, you'd like to make the playoffs every year, and to be realistic, we're not saying region championship, but we do hope we can at least get into the games. That's what the goal is every year. Let's make the playoffs.
Identify some of the leaders on your team and how they've grown in the offseason, who they're replacing from last season, and identify those players.
Well, that's kind of one of the problems. We have a great senior, Jamarian, but he's real quiet. He leads by his actions, but not the way he talks. We're trying to get him to come out and talk a little bit more, but we've got a couple of guys. Jalen Morford, we're expecting a whole lot out of. And we've got one of our sophomores, Caden Turner, our point guard. I expect him to be a leader on the court with the ball. So not so much talking, it's just how they play more than what they say.
The schedule's kind of broken down. I know the postseason's goal, but you've got your non-region play tournaments and then region play, which will get you to the postseason. So talk about some of the tougher games on the schedule, tournaments you're playing in, and preparation for them.
We expect to get someone pretty tough in the Rotary tournament right off bat. So you can massage this schedule a little bit before you get in the region. And then after that, you're looking at Darlington is going to be great. Tryon's going to be great. Chattooga's always great. So and last year, Pepper will beat us. So it's a dogfight when you hit the region. So our tournaments, we really you just can't find a tournament where you can say you can guarantee a win. So pretty much every game we play is like a toss-up for us. We're hoping we can just, my formula's always been win all you should win and half you shouldn't. So I'm not really sure which games those are now. But after we play a little bit, I believe I can look ahead and say we should beat this one or that one. So, but right now I just know Darlington's loaded, and they were loaded last year, and they got more headed to it. So, and I figure Rotary will get a Calhoun or Rome or something. So it's going to be tough wherever we go.
I know at the high school level you deal with players playing other sports, and you probably don't have your full roster until just before the season, if that. So talk about the preseason work. What have these players been doing in practice individually to get ready for the season?
Well, we've been working out with some, but be honest with you, the vast majority of them are playing football, which is a good thing. But that's why we emphasize June so much. Listen, we got to do a lot in June because if football gets rolling here, I may not see you but a week or two before we play a game. So I'm trying to get that mindset into them because I've been lucky enough the last two schools I've been at went deep in football, and I'm hoping we do it here. And I know they're going to be players, and I want them to have the mindset that we got to work hard in June because we got to just pick the ball up in November, possibly December, and go from there. But we've got a lot of football. But I only had about 5 that didn't play, so we're really the Monday was our first big go at it. So we've had 3 practices.
You talked about the tournaments and how there's not an easy draw, but specifically the Christmas tournament, that means a lot to people locally. I mean, these kids have grown up watching the other teams play in the tournament. Now they get their opportunity. What does it mean to you as a coach to play in that tournament, and what does it mean to have an opportunity to go after a gold ball for these kids?
Well, it's a tournament I came and watched as a spectator. I even went when it was over at the Georgia Highlands College. So I've watched it. It's a whole lot different looking from outside than it is looking from inside. I go out there and trophy case, see where Coosa's won that thing, and say, goodness gracious, I'd like to win one of the first games, and instead of I've been a disappointment as far as this tournament goes. I've been a disappointment to the community, I would say.
Well, talk about this Coosa Eagle community and what it means to you to coach these players. What are some of the things that mean the most to you just being a part of the community and coaching?
My father worked in Rome at General Electric, so I've been going by Coosa my whole life, and then as a coach at Cherokee County, I came over here and let Coach Bean beat me to death with one of those good teams in 2003. So I know what they can do here. And I know they've had a couple of years where they've been kind of middle, and I've sort of slipped out even from the middle. So that's what I told them. I said, let's keep what's at Coosa because, I look up and I see kids that were here, and now they're starting against me at other schools, and that can't be the way it is anymore. It's got to be like, hey, if we get you on track, stay here. And we've gotten lucky from about our 10th grade down. We've not really lost anybody like we have in the past. So that's the first thing is, and this is every job I've ever taken, you got to recruit your own first. You have to make sure your kids buying what you're doing and not are looking sideways and thinking I'll go here or there. So that's my first job is keep them home.